Welcome to Taurus TV. I'm Melissa Hoyer and thanks for joining me. Every CEO today is having to face the reality of digitisation in the workplace. The transformation from paper to glass can be confronting. Then there is the cloud, developing new software, and of course embracing all things hybrid. There are threats, fears, and risks. But whatever the case, we all have to be working smarter and not just harder. My guest today has a 35-year track record as a managing director in the technology industry in Europe, the Middle East, and of course here in Australia. He's headed up DMA Australia, Tripoint Corporation, and CDRU, which of course he founded in the year 2000. He now heads up DLG, or Digital Lifecycle Group, which incorporates CDRU as a subsidiary. He's the founding chairman and the CEO and has the financial backing of one of the world's largest private equity firms, Oaktree Capital. Boy, welcome Ian. Ian Woollett, that's a real mouthful. Hello, so welcome. What a world that you are in.
Thank you very much. Yes, it seems a long time when you're saying.
Yes, when you actually look at it like that. Yeah. So I guess your interest and your passion for the digital space, the 35 years ago, the new space back then, how did it all develop?
Oh, look, I guess I was very fortunate very early on, when the PC was first invented. Happened to work for a company called IBM, and they said, we're not sure what this little small PC does.
Little IBM.
Little IBM and a little PC, and and I was the new kid on the block back then, and I'm very fortunate throughout the career. But some things don't change about technology, and the one constant, and it was true 25, 30, 40 years ago, is that it's all about the people.
Yes. Yeah, because we talk about, everything's tech, we're digitised and we just need to know how our devices and how our software works. But ultimately, people still have to get the show on the road. So how difficult is it to sort of keep people interested and excited in sort of the digital space?
I think it's very, very difficult, to be frank. The thing that stands out for me anyway is that when we're working with executives, some executives are really passionate, and this isn't a fad over the last 5 or 6 years. I could go back to my career 30 years ago, and having a business leader, and it was a global financial services company, and they were passionate about the technology. The credit card and the magnetic stripe had just been invented, and they thought, how could they apply that across, from a business perspective? And when you get that passion and you get that energy and you get that genuine excitement, and they invest their time. These are the chief executives and business leaders, non-technologists, with a real interest, even back then, in technology. Today, it's just accelerated, and there are even more opportunities, and it's even more exciting. But you still need that person to want to invest the time. Are you
finding, though, that there are some companies that, sure, they might have amazing leaders or amazing CEOs, but they leave sort of the tech side to, we'll give it to the tech people?
Unfortunately, that's the majority of them.
Yeah.
You can't delegate some things, and if technology these days and digital transformation is going to transform their businesses, it's either going to lower operating costs, it's either going to help them invent new products and services.
Yes.
So, it's got fantastic application to their businesses, and true transformational outcomes. Some are threatened by, Uber and the taxi industry. There's, example after example where there's huge threats that technology presents, and unfortunately, I think some of the executives try and delegate.
Yes.
The successful ones, I think, roll their sleeves up and get into it. And it's not uncommon. I've seen it in Australia. We're a long way away from everybody, as we know, but it doesn't stop executives going to Silicon Valley. Doesn't stop business executives going out to see what's going on in Israel.
Yeah.
And they come back with stories that the taxi driver's more literate than most people in their organisations. Yes. They understand technology.
So you have to treat your people, the people you work with, as you would software or hardware. I mean, they're all as important as each other, aren't they?
Yeah. Look, software, hardware, it's a very complex industry. There's lots of acronyms. But again, I come back. It's all about people, and fundamentally, humans don't like change. So managing change management, understanding I've got a new world and an old world, and in most big organisations and even small organisations, you run those two paradigms in parallel.
Yes.
So you've got a new world and an old world. You're trying to transform from one to the other. And everybody's concerned about the technology aspects, and we see it quite often. But people forget it's about people and change.
And I think embracing change. I work in the media world, and a lot of people were incredibly scared about the digitisation of news. I mean, you sort of your old school newspaper journalists really thought, that's it, my career's over. But if you were clever, you had to embrace change. I think that's certainly been something that, in my mind, in my career, I've thought, embrace change, embrace it, because we have to. Sharon, I mean, you very much have kept abreast and know about the digital world. Have you made, obviously you've had to make a concerted effort to fuse the new world with the old world?
Yes, I think that's what keeps us going. The constant change is here to stay. And running a company for 27 years would be terribly boring if it wasn't continually reinventing and changing. And I was lucky enough to get into technology when I was in my early 20s and have been working with it ever since. And the thing that's always fascinated me is, what is technology doing for business and doing for people? And that's why I work with tech entrepreneurs like Ian, because that's our job. It's about making that technology work for the people. And
you've worked together for, I think, about 18 years. There's obviously, a great working relationship there. You get each other, and obviously, when you've evolved and created more companies, Sharon's been there to sort of promote that. Has it always been a great relationship? Have you had a few rocky paths?
Oh, how funny you say that. He's one of my tougher ones.
Good. We like a bit of tough.
Ian has always mutual respect, always end goal, outcomes focused, end goal in sight. And Ian pulls no punches. So, which is good, because I can take punches. Because what that does is I was going to say lift your game. What it does is it means that together we're on the right road together. So if he's got the courage to be able to tell me what we need to be doing, then that's a really successful relationship. If I don't get defensive and back away, and I've come out of a few meetings with Ian in the last 18 years, reeling a little, all for the best.
And I would think that the things though that you have probably even learned about tech from Ian, that is your world. So I think that would be exciting. Probably after every meeting, good or bad, you would have thought,
I've learned about tech, but what I've learned from Ian is about leadership. And this is not a practice run. We're in it, and we've got one shot, and therefore we're going for it. So, because I met Ian early in my career with Taurus, so I think probably now we're a bit telepathic. I kind of get you and know what you're thinking before you even speak.
That's important. When you've got that long-standing relationship with a business partner, you nearly do have to become telepathic. You have to be thinking, actually, no, he's going to go that way, or Sharon's going to go this way.
He's tough, he's bright, he's fast talking, he's fast acting, takes no prisoners, and gets where he wants to go.
That's why you're a success there.
From the get-go, no bull.
Yeah.
I'd set a CDRU up as an outcomes-based consultancy, so focusing on business outcomes, not technology outcomes.
Yes, yeah.
And the secret sauce was always about focusing on the business outcomes, investing time to understand the client's business, and then focus in a bullseye-like manner. So I steal some stuff from Karen, because the bullseye sort of mentality and methodology, the no-bull approach, this is symbiotic, because, Sharon started with that premise and still here today.
Absolutely.
Love it.
And you provide a consultancy to provide an integrated end-to-end cloud transformation. Tell me about that. to a lay person?
Yeah, a lot of words there.
That is.
A lot of words.
So
So-
break it down for me.
I think everybody, overuses the term transformation.
Mhm.
I think where we see things that haven't changed, talk about what doesn't change. But the construct of when you look or you put a framework around looking at someone's business, you've got to understand it first of all.
Yes.
So, we would look at the people aspects, we'd look at the process aspects and the technology aspects. And people, process, technology, that's been around 30 years. Yeah. So I think those constructs, funny enough, are still here today.
Yes.
And what are you transforming? Yes, there's transformation around the operational aspects, trying to take human contact out and automate where you can. Technology is forever changing, will never stop. Faster, smarter, better, cheaper. It's ever evolving, and that's never going to stop. In fact, accelerating.
Yeah, I mean,
People, that's the one.
You look at the 30 years back and we are where we are now. If we're looking 30 years forward, can you, through your sort of crazy crystal ball, imagine where we may be from a work and technology point of view? Obviously, it's still an emphasis on humanity and people.
Yeah. Look, and we touched on it earlier. I think smart people adopt, they leverage technology, they work out how to apply it. Humans will be more dependent. We're already dependent on technology.
Yep.
We'll be more dependent in the future.
Mm-hmm.
That does not replace what humans bring to the equation. Smart people have smart ideas. They leverage the technology and they'll make something happen. And in 20 years' time, that'll be true.
Yeah. Because there are still people, driven by sort of hard copy documents. There's still businesses. Is that a good thing? Would you like ultimately hard copy to be gone, or will it always be around?
Hard copy. I'd look. Doesn't matter what I think. Right.
I think it does. You're very clever.
Hard copy is, and there are paper processes. There are businesses that do have facsimiles still. And
I always do laugh when someone says, "Fax me something." I say, "I don't even have a fax."
I know. So look, but there are businesses that are dependent for all sorts of different reasons on bits of paper, and I think from a consulting external perspective, if we see bits of paper, we see opportunity for automation, we see a cost reduction capability, we see speeding up the process, we see efficiency gains. So I want bits of paper around because that keeps me in business. I want to see.
But are there a couple of businesses though that you have particularly noticed who have really, really embraced digitization and automation, of all of the businesses?
Oh, look, I think financial services, as ever, given that they've got vast amounts of capital, they've got very complex problems. I guess in the insurance industry, they've got lifetime customers, so they've got long customers that have their life cycle of services they provide is for a long time. So and they are totally dependent and use technology really cleverly, and they're accelerating, and the fintechs and afterpay, and there's a huge amount of smart technology being applied, new business models being applied, customer service. Everybody's now, it'd be unusual maybe not to have some form of app that was
it's actually
consumerized. So
it's nearly sort of weird, isn't it? If you do deal with a company that you then can't find their app, or they can't deliver something via another app. So it's sort of seen now to be very old school. So imagine in even 5 or 10 years' time. So Sharon, dealing obviously with the caliber of CEO like Ian, do you see sort of a running theme of maybe 3 extraordinary qualities or talents that the CEOs that you deal with all have?
Gosh, that's an interesting one. Yes, I'd say, and I've obviously got Ian in my head answering that, but with all the other CEOs we work with too. Absolute clarity of focus. So able to articulate really easily what they want. Determination and tenacity to see it through. And then thirdly, the ability to hold one accountable for those outcomes. So I would say they're the three common trends when I think back of my dealings with Ian, but also across the successful leaders that I've dealt with.
Yes. And so Ian, if you were sort of, a business came to you right now and they wanted to say, Ian, okay, well, we want to sort of get started in the digitization space. Where would you even sit? Where would you start? What would be the first thing you'd say to them?
Show me the
to
money.
Even the check is already signed, so what would where does someone even start if they've got a great idea for a particular business, and it is going to rely on a digital form or digital platform? Where do you start?
It's a good question. As I said, Sharon knows me well, so I would start with show me the money in the sense of not my money. I think that's banked. Yes. But let's just start with what are the fundamental business advantages? Fundamentally, what's this business all about? Yep. So it'll come back to the business outcomes, the nuances of that business. How do they make money? How do they make sure that they are efficient? And we would start with the business outcomes. And a lot of people, a lot of CEOs I see, will spend inordinate amount of money on the strategy. And they'll have beautiful strategy packs, and they might have strategy on a page, and they might, it's a heavy investment, and that's typically where the big consulting firms work for. These are mid to large size organisations, and I would just say to those CEOs, fantastic strategy.
What's the outcome?
And there isn't an outcome unless you execute. So if you've got to be good at execution, or you've got to be good at strategy setting, I'll be good at execution every time. So I've made a choice in working with my businesses that they know their businesses. Everybody's pretty much got a well thought through strategy. It's well communicated. Everybody struggles with execution. So to them, I'll just say, let's really plan and think through execution. Current state, what are we going to do? What does the future look like? The future state, what does that transformation look like? How do we worry about the people? And then look at the processes and the technology.
Yeah. So what's the bullseye?
Yeah. But what are we trying to achieve here? What's the business outcome? And if it's customer experience, then great. Let's focus in on that. But let's be very clear. And I always say simple, plain English. And if nobody can understand the business outcome, it's not really a good outcome.
Yeah.
Again, the no bull attitude.
Yeah. And the focus on the outcome. What I'm hearing here is the dart. We've got the bullseye with business objectives in the center, and you're hitting it as if it's a target on a dartboard. And I'm hearing you, Ian, that it's very much about when you approach anything, it's about that business outcome. What is it we're trying to achieve? Ideal scene. What's the bullseye? Where are we going to be in a year? If we've succeeded, what does that look like? And then working backwards from that. And Ian is someone that, in my experience with him, has always made that happen and been able to articulate it early.
Well, Sharon Williams, Ian Woollett, thank you for your time. I'm Melissa Hoyer.